Hey everyone, welcome back to our biology lesson. Today we are going to take a look at chapter coordination and response. I believe everyone knows that an organism experiences changes in its internal and external environment all the time. Living organisms are able to detect changes in the environment and respond to them accordingly. Such an ability is known as sensitivity, and the changes which cause response in the body are called stimuli. There are two types of stimuli, which is external and internal stimuli. External stimuli is the changes in surrounding temperature, light, intensity, sound, pressure, and touch, while internal stimuli is the changes in body temperature, blood and sugar level, osmotic pressure, carbon dioxide, and oxygen levels in the blood. These two stimuli are detected by a highly specialized sensory cell called receptors. Then the effectors in the body will carry out the response to stimuli to ensure survival of the organism and to maintain a constant internal environment for the normal functioning of the blood cells. The detection of stimuli and an appropriate response is called as coordination. The roles of coordination and response are carried out by two different coordinating systems, which is nervous system and endocrine system. The two systems often complement each other in coordination and response. In general, the nervous system has three main components, which is the sensory receptor, integrating center, and the effector. When sensory receptor receives stimuli, it will generate impulses transmitted along the afferent pathway. Next, the integrating center receives information or impulses from various receptors, and it will pass the information to the effectors. For effectors, it is responsible to receive impulses from the integrating center that transmitted along the efferent pathway, and efferent will bring about response. For endocrine system, it has a two component, which is endocrine glands and hormones. Endocrine glands are responsible to receive internal stimuli, and hormones will be secreted by the endocrine glands to bring out responses. Now, let's take a look at how our body responding to external and internal stimuli. When there is a stimuli from the external environment, it will be detected by a sensory receptor. Then, the sensory receptor will send the impulses along the afferent pathway to the integrating center, and then the impulses will be transmitted along the efferent pathway to the effectors. And then, the effectors will bring out the response to our body. For example, I will give a situation where when we heard a doorbell rings, our sensory receptor in our ears will detect the external stimuli, which is the sound produced from the doorbell. Then, our sensory receptor in the ears will send impulses to tell our brain to do a next step, which is produce impulses and transmit the impulses to the body organ that are responsible to do a response. In this case, our brain will tell the muscle in our legs to go to the door and open the door. Now, let's see what is the role of human nervous system. Human nervous system is made up of two parts, which is CNS, known as central nervous system, and PNS, known as peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, which is CNS, is made up of the brain and spinal cord, which act as the controlling, integrating, and interpreting center. While peripheral nervous system consists of spinal and cranial nerve, which receive and transmit information and connect to the sensory receptor and effectors. Now, let's take a look at the human brain. As you can see in the diagram here, the human brain consists of the cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata, pituitary gland, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Let's go through what is the function for each part in the brain. Cerebrum is the largest and most complex structure present in the frontal part of the brain. The surface is folded to increase the surface area to hold more nerve. Cerebrum is the center that controls emotion, hearing, sight, personality, and control action. The cerebrum receives information and stimulus from the receptor, and then this information is analyzed, integrated, and correlated to produce sensory perception. The response then is determined and instructions are given to the effectors. And the cerebrum is also responsible for higher mental ability such as learning, memorizing, linguistic skill, and mathematics skills. Next, for hypothalamus, it is a coordinating homeostasis. Hypothalamus is the control center that regulates body temperature, water balance, blood pressure, and sense hunger, thirst, and fatigue. The hypothalamus connects the nervous system to the endocrine system through the pituitary glands and control the secretion of a few types of pituitary gland hormones. Now let's take a look at the functions of medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata located at the anterior of the cerebellum, where it controls involuntary actions such as heartbeat, breathing, food digestion, vasoconstriction, blood pressure, peristalsis, vomiting, coughing, sneezing, and swallowing. And for pituitary gland, it is located at the base of the hypothalamus, and it is known as the main gland in the endocrine system. Pituitary gland secretes hormones that control the secretion of hormones by other endocrine glands. And for the last part in the brain that you need to know is cerebellum, where it maintains body balance and coordination of muscle contraction for body movement. Okay, for the last part in this video, we are going to look at the structure and function of the spinal cord. The spinal cord is located within the vertebral column. The spinal cord is surrounded by cerebrospinal fluid, which act as a shock absorber and provide the spinal cord with nutrients. The function of spinal cord is to process sensory information and send out responses to effectors through the efferent neurons. Spinal cord also links the brain with nerve to all parts of the body and controls involuntary action called reflex. Now let's take a look at the structure of spinal cord, which consists of dorsal root ganglion, dorsal root, spinal nerve, and ventral root. The dorsal root contains the axons of the sensory neuron that send nerve impulses from the sensory receptor to the spinal cord, while the sensory neurons body cells are clustered in the dorsal root ganglion. And in ventral root, it contains the motor neurons that send nerve impulses from the spinal cord to the effector. And for the last part in spinal cord that you need to know is spinal nerve, where it contains the sensory neuron and motor neuron. And we have reached our end for today's lesson. And we have learned what is coordination and response, type of coordinating system, and how our body responds to the stimuli. Next, we also have learned what is the human nervous system, part and function of the brain, and lastly, the part of spinal cord and its function. Thank you so much for paying attention for this lesson, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!